I'm over at McPeak's here checking out some old photos. Here's one here. Dino's Dinosaurus. Used to work here a long time ago. There you go. That's the real one. Yep. Dino's Dinosaurus. Huh. Custom painted back in the day. Here's a couple one rabbit. Okay guys, be sure you guys hang on for the later footage. If you want to jump forward to it, that's fine if you don't want to hear the story. But make sure you take a look at some of those nostalgic custom paint photos that I took some video of when I was in the shop today. Really not supposed to do that. He didn't really want me to do it. He doesn't really want me to show videos of his artwork, but anyway, it needs to be seen. It's really cool shit, you know. And but you know, that's just, you know, the way it is. You know, a lot of the old school artists are like that. But you know, he's kind of on the fence with it. You know, just kind of push him a little. But anyway, I want to talk to you guys about what it was like back in the 80s with the mini trucks and bugs, and what the whole scene was about and what it was like. You know, it was like when I was 15 and I was turning 16, there was a decision to make. It was like, are you going to buy a mini truck or a bug? Because there really wasn't any other option. Either you're going to get a mini truck, you're going to get a bug. It was like, that was one of the, you know, what do you want to do? And I went Volkswagen because, you know, I could get one cheap enough. You know, if I didn't have a lot of money, you know, I had $300 for my first car, and I wasn't buying any mini truck for that. And I certainly wasn't getting a loan. You know, I didn't really have work yet and all that, you know, when I was 16. So I got a bug. But a brand new mini truck, Datsun, Toyota. I think the Mazdas weren't that popular, but they had those. And they had the Ford Courier, Chevy Love. But a brand new Nissan Toyota or Nissan or Toyota was $59.95, $5,995. Of course, it didn't have air, but none of us really cared that much about that. Of course, a few years later, they started putting AC and automatics in them, and those became real popular too. But one of the things that all of us wanted is we always wanted, you know, a cooler, more expensive car. So a lot of guys were, you know, buying their mini trucks, and they were putting Mercedes. These guys would go out and steal them. I don't know how they, you know, they ended up with Mercedes hubcaps on their mini trucks. Some guys were getting, you know, custom wheels, and you'd save up for those things and buy them little by little. Or, you know, on the bug, they would do, you know, you know, on a bug, we would put Porsche wheels on it because we always wanted a Porsche. We couldn't afford it, so we put the Porsche wheels on your bug. Same thing, they put the Porsche wheels on the mini trucks. And it was a fad, you know. It was like, because they were so cheap, you could buy, you know, you could buy a mini truck, even an old mini truck. You could find one so cheap, you know, and fix it up, lower it, you know, do all the stuff to it. And cars were really, really big in that time, you know. And that was, like I said, you know, when you're 16, you just decide, where are you going to buy? Are you going to buy a bug, or are you going to buy a truck? Because you weren't buying anything else. That was just not the thing. You know, what else would you buy? You know, an old beat up, you know, Buick LeSabre or something, you know, big old tuna boat. You know, nobody wanted any of those cars. They just wanted bugs and trucks. So, you know, I always wanted a bug because I could always, and I got into doing bugs and stuff like that because I could buy them like for $300. I could put, you know, $300 or $400 into it and do a lot of work and everything, and I'd always be ahead. You know, I could always buy a bug and I could fix it up and and sell it and be ahead, you know. But the mini truck, you're always like buying it and, you know, fixing it up and trying to, you know, you wouldn't get what you had into it. So like one day I remember I was really big into stereos. Stereos weren't really popular. You know, it was like guys would have like 6x9s in their cars, you know, stuff like that, and stereos. And when I was 16, I used to had friends that owned like a custom stereo shop called Speakercraft in Riverside, and I used to go over there and hang out and stuff. And one day I came in and I said, "Dude, I'm gonna build like a separate system for my Bug." And they kind of looked at each other and went, "Why?" And because I was looking at, I wanted really good sound in my car. And I go, "Dude, I spend all my time in my car. I don't spend time in my house." I mean, all of us were on the weekends cruising. You know, we weren't at home. So I go, "Hey, I want to, you know, build a killer system for my car." And they kind of looked at each other and went, "What?" You know, and and nobody had these 10-inch woofers in their beds and all that stuff you had in the mini trucks. It wasn't even really in existence. So I went out and bought this amp. I'll show you. I still have one. So I bought this amp, but the other one was the 6100. This is a 7050. It's half the size of the 6100. And basically it was 100 watts RMS power, which is, I guess this one's the same. 50 plus 50, 100 watts RMS power, which was, and it was 0.05% distortion. So this was a killer amp. There was nothing else on the market other than this at that time. There was nothing else. So I bought that amp. Ken and Ed from Speakercraft were like talking about the specs on it and said, "Hey, that's probably one of the best amps if you really want to do this, you know." So I said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go buy it. I'll go do it. I'll buy it." And I took all my money and I went down and bought the amp. The amp nobody was buying. It was in Pacific Stereo, which was the big stereo dealer at the time. They said, "Welcome, yeah, to Pacific, yeah, Stereo," and it was the only place around. And it was on all the commercials. So was Super Shops. You old school guys, Super Shops was out all the time. Seegers and cams, $39.95, you know. So, you know, I went down and bought that amp and built a speaker box, sealed speaker box for the back of my car. Got some Peerless. Back then it was before Peerless, so if you guys look up Peerless, it's real high-end stuff. And this was actually before they were in existence. Peerless bought the company who made these woofers that I had, and they were non-bottoming voice coil 10-inch polypropylene woofers. There was nobody with a stereo system like that at all. There wasn't. When I drove up, people were like, "Dude, where'd you get that stereo?" So I was there working in the coolest paint shop in town. You guys can hang around and check out those photos later. Here's a few of them. I didn't get that many of them. I'll get some more later. I was working at the coolest paint shop in town, doing custom paint mini trucks. Had the baddest ass stereo in town. And of course, everybody one-upped me. So, you know, I wasn't the badass after a while. But I had, you know, 10-inch woofers. Had them turned straight up in the back of the Bug. We weren't into that boomy bass, no rap, nothing like that. It was more, you know, looking for tight bass. And I had, you know, separate speakers in the doors. And then I had my amp in the front and my head unit inside in the dash. And I was literally getting, you know, it was so freaking loud and clear, you know, and the bass would just permeate through everybody's cars. And when I went into a parking lot, they would all know that I was coming in. I remember getting kicked out of like some of the, you know, like amusement parks and stuff like that, driving through with my stereo. No, get the hell out of here. Because we were cruising, man. We were cruising, running our stereos loud. You know, I mean, that's what I was doing. And in the old Bug. Then it got crazy, you know. It's like in the Rabbit. The next thing came out was the Rabbit convertible. The Rabbit convertible became super popular. They used to bring them into the shop and want them custom painted. I got some of those photos in here. Grabbed a couple of Rabbit ones I saw, and they became really popular too. And the Rabbit convertible was real hot, and because the Rabbit convertible was so hot, and guys had mini trucks. What they did is, and my friend Greg, he got a cover on his Rabbit convertible. Got a magazine cover on that car, and you know, because the Rabbit convertible was so hot, the mini truck guys decided that they wanted in on the game, so some of them started cutting their roofs off. So guys were slamming their trucks. They're making them super low, Porsche wheels, putting on Mercedes hubcaps, whatever, and then they would cut the roof off. They just cut the roof off, and then some dude came by and he made a kit to turn your truck into a convertible. So the guys were taking mini trucks, cutting the roof off, and they put a convertible kit on so that, well, it wasn't a soft top kit, it was a removable hard top kit, and they made it, and they brought it. I remember the guys brought the stuff by the shop, and they're like, "Hey man, check this out," you know. So we were like checking that out, and going, "Man, that is killer," you know, that is so cool. And then we started seeing mini trucks in the shop getting custom paint on them with those tops on them, and that was the cool thing. And so Rabbits became really hot too. Rabbits. Tectonics was next door to our shop, so we were seeing cool Rabbit stuff come and go. Motor stuff's getting really tricked out. They're getting, my buddy had a 8-valve Jetta, Colin, who would outperform a 16-valve. I mean, he was like, "Nah, you don't want to build a 16-valve. You can make an 8-valve run faster." And I remember him getting a ticket for going 114 in that car. And the cops goes, he goes, "Man, it won't do 114. It looked all stock and everything." It was like a 79 Jetta, that old square box car. I think he crashed it a while back, or something happened to it. But he kept it for a long time. But anyway, it was cool, man. Right next door, we constantly hear, like, we'd hear motors fire up, and it was just like, we'd be like going over there, and it's all water cooled, you know, stuff. Daryl Vitone's right there next door. We go over and hear something running, and we go over and check it out. It was something on the dyno, some killer badass engine, you know. So there's always stuff going on, always people coming and going from the shop. You know, there was mini trucks, you know, coming and going. You know, doing custom paint on on the trucks, mini trucks mostly, and for the dealers. The dealers were bringing over a brand new truck. They'd take a brand new Strippo 5995 truck, bring it over to the shop. We'd throw custom paint all over it, brand new. Then they would take it back and they put the, you know, skateboard wheels on them. They look like skateboard wheels on them. Some of the guys were doing that. I didn't like that. I liked them tucked. But guys were doing the extra wide tires, and they would put a badass stereo in them, and they were putting them on the lot for 11 grand. Same truck, you know. They'd spend $500 on a paint job, custom paint. All we do is just paint just this section, one section of the truck. We wouldn't paint the whole truck. We never painted to complete anything. We just painted we put one section along here, and we put a bunch of stripes in it and whatever, and then send it out the door to the dealer. They go in to take the seat out, take it to a upholstery shop, have it redone, custom. They throw a badass radio in it, put some speakers in the bed, put some wheels on it, slam it, and they'd sell them for 11 grand. And so that was our main thing right in that time. We were doing them for the dealers over and over and over and over and over. And they were just coming through the shop, like crazy. And then the dealers would even do the convertible conversion, the lift off hardtop, thing. Cause this guy had a kit. I forget, I think he was in San Diego. I don't know. I think we might've known him. I don't remember the guy, but he used to come, this guy used to come by and he says, man, I made a kit and this and that. And they weren't that much money. And, but bugs and trucks were everywhere. I mean, every third car was a bug, and about almost half of the other ones were mini trucks. And it was because they were cheap, and everybody tried to make them cool because they really wanted an expensive car, like a BMW or Mercedes, but they couldn't afford it. So anyway, kind of rambled on a little bit more than I wanted to on this. I'll let you guys check out some of these photos that I got. Check them out. They're pretty cool. It's real nostalgic stuff. I haven't seen anything like this on YouTube at all. So check it out. Talk to you guys in the next portion there. It really started to get crazy after a while. I mean, it was like everybody was one-upping each other. There was another thing I failed to mention before is everybody was running Porsche hubcaps. It was like these round ones were like, who cares? Take them all off and put on Porsche hubcaps if you had them. If you couldn't afford Porsche wheels, you put on Porsche hubcaps, one of the two. We had really good replica ones back then. But I was, everybody was one-upping each other. So, like my stereo, somebody came and he put in, 2 12-inch woofers, and another guy comes and he puts 2 amps like mine, and then another guy has 3 amps like mine, and 10 woofers, and then it was just like constantly one-upping until you had the entire, and then Rockford Fosgate came out, and they weren't even around, there was no Rockford Fosgate, and all of a sudden they come out and people had 6 7 amps and truck beds full of speakers, and it got to the point where they had to make it illegal for these bass speakers, and guys were pumping out the rap, and it got all over LA. It just was everywhere. This whole stereo thing just got out of control, and that just one thing that just it got to the point where it didn't even sound good anymore. It was just noise. Who could make the most amount of noise, and still low distortion, but all bass, and just, people got rid of all the mid-range. They didn't want that, just bass and treble. It got really weird. But I was into that. I was into really clear sound, so I never followed that whole trend. I just kind of did my thing. But yeah, it was weird, man. It was like the world of one-ups, It was like one guy would make his lower, then another guy made his lower, then they got lower and lower till they were scraping the ground, and then it was just crazy stuff. It was just one-ups all the time. Everybody, I can do better than you, I can do better than that. Nobody was just doing what they wanted to do. They were all trying to outdo each other, kind of like what everybody does with everything. So it just kind of got a little bit out of control, and I don't know. But it was a fun time. We had a good time building cars, being a part of that, from the custom paint side of it. And the guys that were, we saw all the coolest stuff. All the coolest stuff came by the shop. Whatever the newest and coolest thing was, it would come, there's somebody would drive by and show us or something, because we were kind of known as the custom shop back then, the place to go. And he was the place to go before that. I wasn't there during the Dinosaurus era, or the lightning bug, or the inch pincher 2. I wasn't there during that time, but he painted all those and designed all their graphics and everything. It was kind of the Volkswagen and mini truck place. There was places around. There was other places in LA and stuff, But, you know, it was, as far as the Inland Empire goes, it was the shop, you know, that everybody knew, everybody went to, because it was cool. They had he had cool stuff. Everybody wanted it, you know. So, but it was cool. You get to see all the cool stuff come and go, and all the bugs and mini trucks, and you know, and all the newest custom things. You know, it just got out of control. So, anyway. Check this out. That's cool. That's a total 80s job. I think that one was done around my era. Nissan just came and took over. Suzuki Samurai with flames. This crazy stuff here. I don't know what else is next. Let's see. Crazy stuff. Just a layout. This one after it was different one. Good old minivans. We did a bunch of those. Oh yeah, this is the stuff. This is the good stuff here, man. Mini trucks. Let's see if there's any more of them. I don't remember that truck. Around my timing. Mini trucks, man, this is the stuff we were doing. That was really cool. Yeah. Stenciling. Yeah, big trucks. Yeah. Forerunners. Saw those things all the time. Yep, back in these old days. I don't remember that one. That one looks kind of familiar. Some of this stuff going on. Yeah, scallops. Yep. Datsun or Toyota, early Nissan. Oh, I think me and Greg did this one. One of us did. I remember this truck. It might have been one of mine. I don't know. I think Craig did that one. Looking for these mini trucks here. So, yeah. Toyota King Cab. Sweet. Pinstripes. Oh yeah, here we go. The mini truck era. Yeah, oh yeah. These are cowlings for a buggy. I remember these guys, hooker towing around here. Did all their trucks. Did a lot of these things. This was in the 90s though. I wasn't here. 2000s, 90s. A lot of mixed up stuff here. Yeah, a lot of wild shit. Back in the old days. Oh, Boss is here. I'm over at McPeak's here checking out some old photos. Here's one here. Dino's Dinosaurs. Used to work here a long time ago. There you go. That's the real one. Yep. Dino's Dinosaurs. Huh. Custom painted back in the day. Here's a couple one rabbit from the 80s back when I was here, probably, or right after. There's some other weird stuff. Who knows what that is? Moon rim. I don't know who that is on there. Maybe that's Greg back in the old days. No, I don't think so. That's all about 80s right there. There's another 80s. graphics there. Let's see. Comes out alright. I don't know if you guys can see it. Anything goes, man. I don't know when that one was done. Here's some crazy stuff. And no, that's not a toy car. That's a real one. Here's another picture of that. Texas style pinstriping. It's all handwork. There's none of those. That's all hand painted. Here's some crazy stuff. Horse painted on there. Trying to get the lighting right here, guys. It's a nice little design on that Nova there. There's an old school 80s design right there. 90s actually. That was after I was here. There's an old Nova. Custom painted out. That's what we did. It's a pretty old one. Old photo. This is pure 80s right here. And it's taking a before picture, I think, so I can redo the thing. I think that's what it looks like to me.